This isn't one I want.
It's not what I want either, Robyn. It's not what I want.
So, welcome back to the channel. We're delving into a story that, quite frankly, feels more like a masterclass and less like reality TV. And at the helm of this mess, or perhaps at its center, is none other than Robyn Brown. No, wait. I mean Robyn Brown. Yes, Robyn Brown, the woman who rose from poverty and into polygamous royalty. But let me remind you, it sure hasn't been an accident. Robyn's life didn't begin with fame, with money, with stability. She began with the opposite. Prior to ever meeting Kody Brown, Robyn had been struggling with financial hardship. Years of debt, a failing marriage, more than $30,000 worth of credit card problems, and an ex-husband on the edge of bankruptcy. And within the midst of it all, Robyn made a promise that would change everything. She would never be poor again, not if she could help it, not if she could get herself a man with some money, with some fame, and a brand new television show on TLC. And then, like fate on a silver platter, he met Kody Brown. Kody didn't just insert himself into her life. He saved her from it. He rode in on a white horse like the hero who offered safety, stability, and fame. And before he knew it, the man who already had 3 wives, divorced one, married Robyn, and adopted her kids. Let that sink in. It's a level of power, a level of control, a level of influence. And let's not forget, Robyn wanted fame. She said so in the Brown family's book. It's called Becoming Sister Wives. Robyn wanted fame. She said so. When someone lays it out like they're telling you who they are, believe them the first time. But Robyn's greatest ingenuity was not finding Kody, but in her placement within the family. Everything that happened with Robyn was deliberate. All of her relationships were meaningful. And I truly believe that one of her greatest plays, maybe even unwittingly so, was separating Kody from the women before her. Look at Meri, the first wife. The wife who, for so long, had been fed mere crumbs of emotional fulfillment from Kody, lonely, shut out, starving for some recognition. And then Robyn swept into that loneliness with a smile and with an inviting voice, with an offer of friendship and safety and sisterhood. She made Meri believe that at last, she had someone watching her back. But what Meri didn't know was that with every secret she shared with Robyn, with every confession made about her heart, it was getting back to Kody. Robyn was more than a friend. She was a pipeline, a messenger, a wedge. But the truth about all of this really sank in for me even more with the preview for an upcoming tell-all. A statement made by Kody struck it home and really brought it all together, at least for me. It's a statement I have previously heard, but never fully realized as I have before. He said, if your wife is having an affair and your other wife tells you, that's my business. To be honest, I was confused. Why mention Meri's catfishing scandal again? That was a whole decade ago. But then I went back and listened to that clip, and I realized what I missed. Your other wife tells you, he's talking about Robyn, and he's defending Robyn, telling him about the emotional affair with Meri. Again, he's furious with Robyn on behalf of someone else. It's because he's so blinded by his own feelings and emotions that he's conveniently ignoring the larger issue. Robyn's had a habit of scooping up information all the rest of the wives have given her and taking it straight back to Kody. But it's more than that. It isn't an isolated event either. Christine said in her book that she told Robyn a secret, and then that secret gets used on her as ammunition against Kody. Janelle talked about something similar on the previous season. She whispered something to Robyn, and then Kody brings it up as an issue. Janelle tried talking about it with Kody and asks him, I don't know how you even know about it, but you need to talk about it. And then Kody clams up, completely will not engage with it. Like, as if he's covering for Robyn. 3 wives. It's been 3 on pattern. Robyn is the sweet and loving sister wife, but beneath it all, she's the family snitch, the emotional spy, the stealthy gatherer of secrets who becomes absolutely vital to Kody because she dishes exactly what drives a wedge between he and women who push him. It's not just strategy, it's survival. It's a woman securing her position, her position, and her fiscal future within a family based on loyalty that she ever so briefly failed to return. But Robyn also became the fourth wife. She becomes the gatekeeper, the confidant, the spy, and finally, Kody's last business partner. But somehow, if you step back and look at it, it all doesn't quite look like a coincidence, and instead, like a game that she's been playing from the very start. Do you guys remember all the tiny little games that Robyn would play with Meri throughout the years? Because once you start connecting the dots, it becomes glaringly clear that Robyn didn't just end up befriending Meri, but targeted her vulnerable spots. Meri, from day one, was the Brown wife who wanted more connection than anyone. But she brought with her wounds from being the first wife, who had been nudged aside by Kody before the rest even realized what was going on. And Robyn just stepped on into that soft spot as if it were an open door. Do you remember when Robyn was pregnant with Solomon, and who the very first person she told about it was? Meri, not Janelle, not Christine, not even Kody, but Meri, because it reinforced that need that Meri had, that need that she wanted to be included, wanted to be chosen, wanted to be an important part of something, which, at that moment, Robyn thought it was sweet and insignificant, but clearly there is calculation there, because it put Meri on a pedestal, an emotional high, thinking that they have something special. And then there was the notorious offer of surrogacy. How could anyone possibly ever forget that? It wasn't something that Robyn threw out as a passing favor. She packaged it with grand gestures, with tears and shaking voices and promises to put herself out. I would carry your child for you and Kody, she said, ad infinitum, for 2 years. But as soon as Meri said no, as soon as she discovered her own boundaries, that precious gift turned into a weapon. Robyn warped Meri's no into rejection. Into betrayal. To prove that Meri no longer wanted to be a member of the family. I offered you something beautiful. I let my heart open up for you. And you said no. That was what Robyn encouraged, and encouraged with subtlety. It had absolutely nothing to do with surrogacy. It had absolutely everything to do with control. And Robyn wielded it perfectly as she positioned herself as superior to Meri within the rank and file of sacrifice. But if you look beneath the surface, beyond the tears and the touch, then the motivation becomes crystal clear. Meri was not selected because Robyn loved her. Meri was chosen because she was useful within the polygamy sphere. It's the legal spouse who is the gatekeeper. She's the one who holds the keys. And as soon as Robyn appeared on scene, Meri still had all these keys. To be with Janelle or with Christine would not have given her anything. Sure, they have influence, but they don't have legal influence. But Meri? Meri at law port. Robyn knew that as long as Meri was still recognized as her husband's wife, there would never be a point at which Robyn truly felt secure. She would never be able to attain financial security as much as she wanted it, nor would she be able to gain the position and fame she so clearly wanted. As will be remembered in becoming sister wives, Robyn made it very clear that what she wanted was a man with whom she could build stability, who would provide her security. But more than that, what she wanted was fame so she could change the world. None of these things, however, were possible as long as Meri occupied this position. So, what did Robyn do? She identified with Meri on an emotional level. She fed her validation. She made herself indispensable. She fostered trust, but then turned it into a weapon. And once Meri was isolated, emotionally battered, and riddled with guilt, the stage was set for Robyn to assume possession of exactly what she had wanted all along: marriage. It was necessary that Meri leave, and Robyn knew exactly what it would take. But here's the thing about Robyn Brown. Being merely the legal wife was never good enough. The divorce with Meri? Not enough. Adopting her children? That was not enough either, even with the legal marriage. Even with Kody publicly declaring her as his one true love, Robyn still carried one truth she could never change. She was the fourth wife, and in the world of polygamy, that counts. That hierarchy runs very deep. No matter how much Robyn wanted to be at the top, she could never erase the fact that Meri was the one who started it all, the original wife, the builder of the family, the woman who suffered through every new marriage Kody brought in. And like it or not, polygamous culture carries an unspoken reverence for the first wife. She's the one the man often feels the most guilt toward. The one whose emotional suffering forces him into awkward contortions of loyalty. The one who, in the extreme, creates what polygamists jokingly call first wife derangement syndrome, and Robyn hated that. She didn't want to become the legal wife behind the first wife. She wanted to become the legal wife. Not the first wife. She wanted first position respect, first position loyalty, and first position power, and it is then that the perfect storm arrived. Shortly after Meri signed away her legal marriage, Meri, vulnerable, lonely, emotionally abandoned by Kody, took up an online correspondence with a person she actually felt was a guy offering companionship, friendship, maybe even some kind of lifeline. A person she met on a Facebook group run by Robyn. And this is where the storyline goes from emotional manipulation to something far dark in tone, because while Meri was opening up to this mysterious online admirer, Robyn and her friend Kendra were quietly watching things unfold behind the scenes. They weren't confused. They weren't uncertain. They knew that the person Meri was talking to wasn't who they claimed to be. They even inserted themselves into the conversation. Kendra befriended the same catfish, building a parallel relationship for one reason: to spy on Meri and report back to Robyn. Think about just how twisted that is. Meri, who was already being destroyed by this man's abandonment, was out there desperate for a connection with someone. And she was desperate enough to fall for a stranger online. And instead of protecting her, saying, "Hey, something is wrong here," Robyn and Kendra let the situation play itself out. And they watched. They were gathering intelligence information, waiting, reporting everything to Kody. And here's the part that chills me. Robyn knew the entire time the catfish wasn't real. She knew Kendra was talking to this person, and she knew the communication was sketchy, unsafe, and emotionally dangerous. Yet she let Meri walk headfirst into that emotional trap. What has never been fully explained, and what the show has danced around, is whether Kendra was in on it with the catfish. Were they colluding? Was this staged? Or was Kendra just taking advantage of the situation for Robyn's benefit? In any case, the outcome was the same. Meri was further and further pulled into an emotional connection with a person who wasn't even real, and Meri described it herself. She said it was one of the most confusing experiences of her life, that she was married but starting to feel real emotions for a man who wasn't even real. Eventually, she came to find out it wasn't a man at all. It was a woman pretending to be one, but here's the piece viewers weren't shown on TLC. The behind-the-scenes behavior that paints a fuller picture. A close friend of Robyn's, a person who worked with her on that self-semi Facebook page, sent a series of messages showing just how wrapped up Robyn was in this whole affair. In one message, Robyn panicked about the conversations being hacked. She said she was scared to communicate because Kendra just did a number on me, and she didn't consider Kendra safe. Okay, so now let's break that down. Kendra was allowed by Robyn to interact with the catfish. Robyn used Kendra to keep track of the conversations Meri was having. Robyn then turned around and said Kendra was unsafe and scary. How convenient of a distancing tactic is that? Because once that catfish thing blew up out in public, Robyn needed a clean exit from the chaos, somebody else to blame. And Kendra became that fall guy. Meanwhile, Robyn kept feeding Kody information the whole time. And Kendra? She was like a ping pong ball, publicly bouncing back and forth, insisting the catfish was real, then fake, then real again. She said it was one person, then two, then three. She claimed she met him, then denied she met him. She gave every version of the story except the truth. But in all the scramble, one thing stayed steady. Robyn always knew more than she'd let on. And she was always passing what she knew straight to Kody. When you begin to put the pieces together, the pattern is undeniably apparent. Robyn watched Meri get catfished, but didn't intervene. She kept an eye on it. She thrust herself into that. She used it. And finally, she weaponized it. exactly the scandal she needed to cement her place as Kody's unquestioned number one. Kendra kept changing her story, claiming she met the catfish, then insisting she never did, flip-flopping so many times that her credibility totally collapsed. But even if she wasn't a credible narrator, one thing was clear: she was directly communicating with the same person Meri was confiding in. And every message Meri sent ended up in Robyn's hands. And Robyn? She fed every piece of that information straight to Kody. She told him Meri was having an affair. She had told him how Meri was falling in love with someone else. She told him that Meri was ready to leave the family. Robyn positioned herself as the loyal wife, the vigilant protector, the one who was just looking out for Kody, but beneath that facade, she wasn't doing any of this for Kody's sake. She was doing it to serve her own agenda, eliminate the woman standing in her way from complete control. In front of the TV cameras, Robyn played the innocent friend, the one just wanting to help Meri, the one heartbroken watching Meri suffer, the one claiming she had no idea what was really going on. But behind the scenes, she and Kendra were fully entangled with the catfish for months, gathering intel, stirring confusion, and quietly feeding Kody the narrative that Meri was betraying him. And here's the part which is even nowadays not really spoken aloud. I believe firmly that Robyn and Kendra, and maybe others, knew right from the beginning that this catfish wasn't real, that it was all a setup, a trap, a perfect storm engineered, or at least embraced in pursuit of exactly one outcome: Meri's utter disqualification from the circle of family. It was a trick. It is a manipulation, a long, drawn-out emotional ambush, a setup in which Meri was being slowly and insidiously roped in, beyond the point of return. Remember, Meri refused to go. She stayed for 7 long years after the catfishing scandal, clinging to some small, fading hope that Kody might see her again. She even stayed when Kody had emotionally checked out on her, even when Robyn froze her out, even when every sign pointed to the fact that she was no longer wanted. But Robyn and Kody needed Meri silent, desperately silent. And that's where the NDA comes in. Why an NDA? Think about it. An NDA isn't about protecting feelings. It's about protecting secrets. It's about silencing the real story. The truth about how the divorce was orchestrated. The truth about how emotionally manipulative Meri was. The true facts about the fractured friendship between Meri and Robyn. The truth about how the catfish scandal became a weapon, not a tragedy. Kody's recent outburst, the one where he shouted, "My wife is having an affair and my other wife told me I had a right to know," was the final confirmation. He practically exposed the entire operation himself. He copped to it, without saying her name, that Robyn was the one who delivered the intel, the one who connected the dots that weren't even real dots, the one who played messenger, informant, and instigator all at the same time. And that wasn't a what-I'm thing. That was a pattern. Robyn did it with Christine, she did it with Chanel, she did it with Meri. She would identify their emotional vulnerabilities, gather private information, twist it into something threatening, and deliver it to Kody as proof that she was protecting him, all while quietly painting the other women as villains. Look what Christine is doing. Look what Chanel said. Look what Meri is planning. She had placed herself in the middle of every conflict, every misunderstanding, every fracture, and then each time walked away looking like the noble, loyal, selfless wife. The other women, meanwhile, took the rap, and now Meri is the only one who can reveal the complete truth. She could make every manipulation, every betrayal that happened off camera lay bare. She could reveal what Robyn did, why she did it. And that's exactly why Robyn and Kody need her silenced. Because had Meri talked, it would blow the whole well-structured narrative to smithereens. And honestly, I hope she speaks one day. I hope she finally tells all. What's your take? Is this a shock to you? Or at this point, has the pattern set by Robyn become undeniably clear? Will she ever be satisfied, even now, when she's the only wife left standing? Or is she going to continue to pick through the ruins of these women's lives in search of more control, more sympathy, and more power? Let me know in the comments how you feel. I just adore reading about your take on this never-ending Brown family saga. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and tap the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching!